Mr. President, I rise today to announce that I think Robert Wilkie is the right man for the job to be VA Secretary. Today we are going to fulfill our constitutional responsibility to provide advice and consent on the President's nominee. This is a responsibility that I take very, very seriously, and especially as my role as ranking member of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. In our committee, Chairman Isaacson and I have overseen the screening and confirmation of 12 nominees to serve veterans, and I'm proud to say that we confirmed them without dragging our feet. Recently, we had Mr. Robert Wilkie before the committee for his confirmation hearing. Members of our committee asked him tough questions about his vision for the VA. We asked him about his plan to bring much-needed stability to the nation's largest healthcare system. Following the important exchanges and during that hearing, members sent more tough questions to the nominee for his response. And in the days since his nomination, Mr. Wilkie has sat down with members to respond to their questions and concerns one-on-one. By voting to confirm Mr. Wilkie today, I believe we're providing stronger leadership for America's veterans. With this vote, we are fulfilling our obligation to them. We are doing our job, but our job just doesn't stop today. As members of this body, we must hold Mr. Wilkie accountable to the commitments that he has made through his confirmation process. There are some critically important issues to be addressed within the VA. Workforce shortages. Whether in rural America or in urban America, we need more docs and nurses, more psychiatrists, psychologists within the VA. Critically important. If he is going to oversee a successful VA, we need to have the VA personnel. We need to have it manned appropriately to meet the challenges that are out there after being at war for 17 years and veterans from previous eras getting older and older. Today, unlike ever before, we've got political forces at play inside the VA. This is very unfortunate because, quite frankly, I believe that good employees are being forced out, not because of the job they're doing, but because of their views. When Mr. Wilkie becomes secretary, he's going to have to make sure this stops. It's critically important that we keep the employees that we have that are good employees and move the VA forward so it can do the job that it's meant to do. He also has some challenges to address in rural America. The community-based outpatient clinics we have there need to be staffed up. We need to make sure that the VA has what it needs to meet the needs of the veterans in rural America. And, by the way, with the passage of the Mission Act, make sure that veterans aren't run around once that act gets fully implemented when they need community care and the VA can't provide their care. He also needs to make sure that the disability appeals process continues to move forward and that backlog is whittled down. And to make sure that the accountability bill is implemented as Congress intended and that the whistleblower protection in that bill is lived up to what it means. And he needs to implement the Forever GI Bill in a way that makes sense for our veterans. And last, and certainly not least, making sure the VA Mission Act is implemented in a way where the veteran can make the decisions on how he gets his or her health care. Veterans need a leader who will build bridges, who will find solutions that are facing our veterans, to the issues that are facing our veterans, not tear down the department to meet a political agenda. And veterans need a leader who won't shy away from those challenges that are facing the VA. We need someone who's going to tackle the challenges like workforce shortages, like access to mental health care, like barriers, particularly in rural America for women's veterans. And I believe that Mr. Wilkie is the right fit for that job. Right now, the VA does not have a confirmed secretary who is focused on the larger mission of serving these veterans, implementing the reforms, and improving VA care and benefits. Instead, we've had temporary political appointees in charge. They're more interested in picking political fights with people who are not their enemy. I believe we've lost sight of the VA mission. It will be up to Mr. Wilkie to right that ship. That is why I'm so hopeful that this evening we can get Mr. Wilkie confirmed so he gets on the job as soon as possible. Veterans are depending on him, and they're depending on us to make sure he gets to work. And then once he gets to work, I guarantee you that the chairman of the VA committee and myself as ranking member and all the members of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee will be making sure that he's doing the job and fulfilling the promises that we've made our veterans. Thank you, Mr. President.